Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. I'm your host and sometimes referee, Zach Stat Pearson, and today I'm joined by the one who stays fly in any weather and is never affected by the Rona, a one Angry Bird Flu.
Hey yo, what's good? Hope everybody's keeping care of themselves, taking care of themselves. Make sure they drink tons of water. Keep it. We don't be coughing, don't be sneezing on nobody, and always practice social distance.
Okay. All right. As per usual, you guys know that, we record people on different days in different states and sometimes even different countries. So with that being said, he's going to be going first, but let me give y'all them topics for the week. Topic 1. Is GameStop going to die because of the forced government shutdown? Topic 2. Mind-controlled gaming. The amount of time that has passed and technology that will allow for use of the frequency-based control can never truly be predicted. However, the cost of such devices has dramatically decreased over the years, and some developers, even designers, are even hypothesizing links and assuming that games where thought can create actions on screen could show up as early as the next generation. How do you think a game should control in this hypothetical but nearing real future? Should we stick with traditional physical controls, which may have better balance and be more fair, especially competitive games? Or should we lean towards this frequency control future, which may have inherent advantages and disadvantages, even if they're playing with the same type of controller? Now for the topic 3. DLC price scaling is a thing now. The new Like a Dragon spin-off, also known in America Yakuza for those wondering, series, which is more of an RPG, features a DLC that starts off at the equivalent of 69 cent USD, but after a month scales up to $9 or around $9 USD. Not to mention it primarily features mechanics and abilities that were free in every other entry in the Yakuza series. Yes, all 6 number titles. What do we need to do in order to make sure that Sega, let alone the industry at large, understands DLC scaling will not be tolerated? Topic 4. Is virtual chatting dangerous? Is a dangerous commodity? Besides the traditional issue of children being in platform, children being on platforms without parental supervision, virtual chatting has the potential to further disassociate, yet at the same time connect humans from and to one another. Gonna do some editing on that one. So I'm wondering, in your opinion, do you believe that there are more pros or cons to VR socializing in this day and age? All right, go ahead and lay us that information down whilst I do some corrections on topic 4.
I can get going.
Yes, you can.
You want me to go ahead?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Topic 1. I don't think GameStop will die because of they're being forced to shut down. I think it will. What's going to happen with GameStop is that they're gonna tone down the oversaturation of GameStop because there's way too many GameStops in America, let alone in Chicago, and it's just you just have stores that are just cluttered with a whole bunch of bullshit that nobody's gonna buy. So with that being said, I feel like they're not gonna die. They're just gonna kill off some of the fluff that GameStop comes with, and I think that would be great for them in the long run. 1 second.
Nah, I'm just doing some editing.
I got you. Moving on. Topic 2. Mind control gaming, from what I've gathered, it feels like a Detroit becoming human. It feels like it feels like an Overwatch stage or a pretty much a mindset on how the Omnic crisis will become a thing. Human versus the Omnics, or it's pretty much going to be used to from what I'm getting, it's going to be used as like a way to control people. You know, that's the conspiracy side of me. But with all that, I really think that they should kind of slow up on that type of development because right now we're still getting still trying to get used to the whole like electric cars and cars, running on their own without, physical performances on it and all that kind of stuff. And I really think that if we the mind control stuff, the gaming aspect of it can really damage the person's brain. If they're gonna use those mind control things that's like like to help some of these neuron disease, that would be great. But recreationally, I think we can kind of hold off on that for a later date until we get more tests ran or more pets and all that stuff that could be ran on. But right now, lay off of it, do more research before y'all actually go on to it, keep developing because once people starting to get wind of all this stuff and they're going to be like, man, this is going to be great and we're going to be able to do this, we're going to be doing that, the demand is going to go up and then the quality is going to drop. And we don't want products that are super fucking low quality and it would cause more damage than it does any good in the community. Moving on from that, topic 3, the DLC price scaling. I really think with that is really based on the demand of what the industry wants. Because there's so many stuff that I've seen like a few years back where it cost so low, but then they re-drop it and it's like fucking $39. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck just happened? They shouldn't be doing that shit, and I will not allow it. Especially with the Yakuza series, and I enjoyed the Yakuza series, but once they start re-dropping stuff and they re-releasing stuff and the stuff that we already had was already in the game, it's not the game anymore, and they kind of be like, bro, what the fuck are they doing? And it's like a money cash grab thing for some of these companies now, and that's the sad part about all of this, because guess what? If people love it that much, they're gonna put as much money into it as possible, and I think that is the backward side of this entire ordeal with the DLC's price scaling. Because Persona 5 per se, there was some stuff
don't get me started on that one, but continue.
There was some stuff on Persona 5 where it's like back then you really didn't get all the DLC, or it was some free additions to the game, and now they redrop Persona 5 for the PS4, and now all the stuff that was like free to the game before are now costing like $8, $7, $5, or as much as like $3. And be like, yo, I really didn't get all this, I didn't get all this bullshit when I was enjoying this game the first time. But with all that stuff, man, I really feel like it's like back in the Persona 5, and now they re-releasing Persona 5 and they adding some story to it, Royale, which I think is great, but I don't think it should be $59.99. But to each his own. I love the series, but I'm just going to be like, fuck it. All the extra shit that come with it, it has to be free. But if you want me to pay for some extra stuff, I'm not gonna do it, because I'm the type of person, like, if I enjoy the game, if I can play it as base as possible, I'm gonna play it. All the extra shit like cosmetics, I don't give a fuck about that. I just only care for the base, and if I can enjoy the game on how it is at that time. But I shouldn't be having to play games and then buy shit that was $2 and now it's fucking $15. Like nowadays, DLC is costing more and more every fucking time the game come out. And and I get it that some of these companies want to go off and be like, man, we're producing very high quality stuff like Call of Duty. Fuck that shit. Y'all game's been ass for years. 2K, fuck that. Y'all game's been like super ass, but you overpricing y'all DLC prices, and y'all overpricing y'all products and all that stuff, and these cosmetics and all this shit for the game, and y'all kind of forget why people love the game, and y'all forget y'all want shit to look good but not play good, and I'm not with that shit. So all the price scaling stuff for these games, don't buy that shit. It'll hurt the industry, because then it will promote laziness in the industry, and people will forget that, I don't need to drop a great game. I could just drop some cosmetic stuff on this game, and people are gonna eat this shit up, and they're gonna keep buying this shit, and they're gonna keep playing this game. No, I'm not with it. I'm gonna keep that shit. All right, moving on from that. Topic 4, virtual chat rooms. Besides the issues of children being in there, that's a whole thing. If I go into that shit, we're gonna go on for days. But I feel like with virtual chat rooms, it will hurt. It will hurt more people in the long run, because you can pretty much it's almost like how people talk a lot of shit on Facebook because they hide it behind the keyboard, the whole keyboard warrior thing. That's how I look at this whole thing. Because people will lose the feeling of actually communicating with people in like a social setting, like outside, like at a bar or at a park, and other stuff like that. But people will definitely miss out on stuff like that, and they're gonna forget how that feels, and pretty much it'll pretty much kill them because once they go outside, they're gonna lose their shit. And this kind of it's almost like the incel thing, how the people call it in the video games, or how some blue pill shit they be saying is be like, oh man, this guy be on the computer all day playing the games and chatting it up with these bitches on Instagram and just chatting them and typing and all they do is type and don't go outside. They stink, they smell, they drink Gatorade and eat Doritos all fucking, they live in their mama basement and all that stuff. But I feel like with all that stuff, man, in the long run, you're gonna want to get back out there and want to talk to actual people instead of talking in like a headset or talking VR related stuff. And I feel like for me, I can't settle for shit like that because I have to get around, I have to walk, I have to interact with people, I have to network with people. So it's great to go out to those social settings and talk to people as opposed to just sitting in my room chatting with motherfuckers through a headset or through a VR headset and just in a gaming setting, just like, hey guys, how are you? I miss you guys. It's like, yo, I can't fuck these people, bro. I can't fuck people doing this VR shit. So it's like, I got to get out there and talk to people and get out there, physical stuff, man. I feel like with that stuff, it'll hurt people in the long run as far as socially. And I think that is my take on that.
Bro, you have no idea how hard I was slow clapping on my end. Like you went off on you obviously got it turned into an Angry Bird rant on topic 3, but that ain't your fault. Also, no one ever said rants weren't allowed. But yeah, you pretty much brought it in for topic 4.
I appreciate it.
Good, it was a compliment. All right, now as far as me, topic 1, as much as I would love it, I don't fucking know no more. Because the entire entertainment industry in relation to digital interactive media or interactive digital media has never been properly regulated. What happens is they all go and sit in their little holes and they only stick their head out when they're actually starting to get in trouble, and then they go and lie. Back in the day, it was, we didn't see this shit coming. Let's get prepared with the ESRB, do a little bit of self-regulation. Self-regulation's out the window. Now it's just hiding, getting in trouble. But on the retail side, it's been a completely different beast. GameStop wanted to utterly destroy everyone that they possibly could or merge them out of existence. So then there's only mom and pop. Play and Trade, which name may have not spread to certain states, Play and Trade didn't even start really blowing up until after people realized the profit margins were better than something like a GameStop. And yes, they're independent ownership. The only downside is they do not deal in whatchamacallit. They don't deal in amiibos. And certain accessory types they will never carry willfully. And remember, these are all independent situations. Because, they can be independently owned and operated. But here's the thing. I think that if they survive Corona, they're going to be extremely limited production and extremely limited extremely limited employment and locations for service. Because here's the thing. It hasn't been lost on me. Now, mind you, this statistic is over 10 years old. But last I heard / checked, big box retailers make up 40 to 50% of game sales. Physical game sales. So that means Walmart, Target, Best Buy, people that aren't GameStop, dedicated stores, they don't make the bulk up anymore. And they haven't for a long time. Now, as far as system sales, they still do that, but that's primarily because almost, what was it, 40% of the North American used market for systems goes through GameStop for consoles. They go through GameStop. The newer the system is, the higher odds are it'll be cheaper or there'll be a used format of it at a GameStop. But also, everything they've been doing gets snitched on. We've literally had shareholder conference calls all the way up to statements from lawyers doing shady shit or telling them to do shady shit and act shady get exposed. I'm sitting up here like, is the 11th hour upon GameStop? Did the wool finally get pulled from under them? There is literally no excuse or reasoning to why GameStop acts the way they do other than corporate greed. But now they're running into a problem of, bitch, the whole point of a corporation is to make a lot of money, pay your employees, grow the company, and minimize debt. But the problem is in North America, we got companies that don't give a shit about their debt. They give a shit about making the minimum payment on the debt. That's like saying you make $1 billion and your car is on a payment plan for $100 a month and you only pay the minimum payment. Pay the full thing, you fucking idiot. We have corporations that think like this, and it's genuinely sad. But at the same time, we're living with a government that hasn't flexed on them yet. They threaten to flex, and that's when they fix shit. But now, they just straight up lie. And often, more than not, get away with the shit. And that's what truly bothers me. So, I think that we may see a new level of regulations, and it primarily affects GameStop, which could end with them getting driven into the ground. Or Fizame, the magical Nintendo man, can somehow turn this negative into a gain. Because as big as his name is and as popular as his name is, we've never seen him in the digital entertainment retail space. We've seen him own a company. But here's the thing, a figurehead is never truly in charge. If Reggie fucks up, Japan can give him the axe. But this is a situation where he only has to answer to shareholders, not an entire different nation, with their own system of values and beliefs on how things should be operated and run. Honestly, if they make it past this year, I would be surprised. Because we all know what they're trying to hold out for. They're trying to hold out for the systems to come, because that's when they normally get their bread and butter money. But the systems can't fix a reputation. Also, the systems can be bought online and at big box retailers. I know people who avoid lines and midnight releases and specifically get them from box stores because they don't want to deal with GameStop shit. But then they go and take the old system, give it to GameStop because they get a boost and they can go and get more shit for the new system. Hell, I used to do that. Oh, PS4 about to come out? Hey, homie, hey, why don't you take this PS3? Oh, the controllers don't work with it too? Hey, bruh, take these two. And then, let me go and get a second PS4 controller. And let me go and get 3 games that are coming out before they even come out, so I got something to do when that shit come out. I totally understand it. But I don't really think I want them to exist, and it sucks because I got friends who work there, but at the same time, they don't respect them as employees. Also, retail is semi-universal. They can go and work at a GameStop, a Best Buy, or a mom and pop place, or a play and trade and shit like that in a heartbeat. Retail experience carries over if it's offline. So it's not like, but everybody lives in different places. I totally get it. It is what it is at the end of the day. Now for topic 2,
Wait. Don't move on yet. Don't move on yet. I just want to give it up to you for that said thing because you gave me a fresh perspective on that matter. And I truly understand, when you say that, man, people that GameStop just don't get about their employees and how people will definitely go they will outsource their stuff before they even think about going to GameStop. And funny and fucked up enough that I've been doing that for years since I moved out of my mom's house. I just went to any other thing that's not GameStop. I went to Walmart. I went to Target. If only time I will go to GameStop is if it's necessarily and I absolutely have to get something that is exclusive to that. Other than that, I wouldn't want to go there because I've been trying years to work there and people like don't fucking do it. Like I have friends like don't do that. Please don't work there. I hate it. I hate it when I used to work there and this what they'll do. And I'm like, no, fuck all that shit. But I really feel like just based off what you said, it truly screams how I've been feeling for years. And that's why I want to chime in before you moved on.
You used to work there, or you still work there?
Oh no, I never worked there, but I'm saying I wanted to work there so bad. But I had friends and family members used to work there that would tell me like, "No, don't fucking do it. Please don't do it." And they would kind of run game on me on why I shouldn't do it. And I'm like, "Damn, you're right." And I wouldn't want to work for any company or big market company like that just doesn't give a fuck about their employee.
Hey, well, I guess the best I can tell you is, hey, I'm glad you dodged a bullet. Most of the people I know that even work there, they know they could go up, but they willfully chose not to because they fucking hated it. But I'm at the mindset of, look, the further up you go, or the further up you're allowed to get, the less chance you have of being cut. A regional manager doesn't have to worry about being cut when 100 stores get the axe. But the guy who ran the store for 5 years, he the first one out the door. However, I don't work there, so I can say those things. Now, as far as topic 2 goes, the mind control, I'm torn because we know it's coming, but so far, the differences have not been truly given to us. We know about reflex speeds, and we know it's a little bit easier to balance out reflex speeds, especially between height and sex, just because it's finger movements at small durations and small lengths and small angles. Your finger or your thumb going from the X button to the Y button, or the square button to the triangle button, whatever controller you're using, I don't really give a shit. The 1 button to the 2 button. That's never going to be too big of a difference versus a fully grown athletic man getting in a foot race with a fully grown athletic woman. It's not going to be that big of a difference between a 5'2" adult person playing a game that requires twitch action versus a 6'5" adult person. People keep forgetting that there's 2 types of speeds for humans. There's movement speed, physical movement speed, and there's reflex speed. And so far, with the information we've been able to determine, because there have been studies that have taken decades to finish, the shorter you are, the main things we've learned so far that have been verified, the shorter you are, the faster your natural reflexes can be. And for some reason, reflex speed is naturally higher in male versus female in every age category. But when we both got 2 controllers in our hand, some of that is mitigated. Also, peep this. If we're playing a game that's mind controlled, then the only speed difference is who thought of what faster, theoretically speaking. But we haven't truly had a way to compare this yet. Almost every game that has been played that I've found, and some of it I even found footage of, has always been a single player game or a game where 2 people were not playing against each other competitively. So with that being said, I'll say that there is an inherent advantage. However, that advantage we don't know the depth of yet. But for the time being, much like with a all button controller versus a controller with analog motions or stick motions, I would say they need to be categorized. If I'm playing a fighting game with a mind controller and they have a mind controller, we should be considered to be on equal footing. But if I have a mind control and I'm playing Marvel vs. Capcom anything and you're on a pad, I'm sorry, you lost. No Wong factor will save you from me. I am the type of person who was born into the hyperactivity of Melee and Marvel versus games. So,
oh God.
Yeah. So when I play games that require a twitch motion or they require not so much technical button presses, but buttons to be pressed at certain speeds and frequencies to pull off things, it's a lot easier for me because I have that natural background. All these people you see playing fighting games that transition from one fight game to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, it's not because they practiced with that fighting game religiously. They totally do, by the way. It's partially because rollover information. Listen, you could not run. An accident can happen to you, Kevin, right now, and you could lose the ability to run for 15 years. But let's say you train up the rest of your body, and then eventually you gain the ability to walk again, and you get your muscles straight. And you haven't run those whole 15 years. You think you magically just forgot how to run now? No. I'm one of the few people I've seen in MVC3 who doesn't drop his air combos. I don't know what the fuck is going on. It's even in tournament footage. For some reason, everybody's dropping air combos. But when I looked at the footage in slow motion, because I'm an editor and I was bored, all these motherfuckers are trying to start their combos off in the air almost the same way once they launch somebody. They're trying to do an MVC2 combo in MVC3, but you can't. Here's why. Because the light punch hitbox and angles are different for the characters than they used to be. Middle, hard is what you can do. If you jump in the air and you try to do light, middle, you'll notice that sometimes characters just drop out of it, especially with Wesker. But if you do middle, hard, or middle, and if they got a double jump, you know, going to some lights after that, shit like that, most of the characters, it's not going to drop. Like 99% of the time, if you know what you're doing, it's not going to drop. But the only reason I can catch stuff like that is because rollover information. How many decades was I playing MVC2? 2017 was the last time I officially played in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I played the fuck out of 3. I was one of those people who I had to stop because I'm fucking up my thumb. I didn't get carpal tunnel because I ain't stupid, but I was fucking up my thumb. So, if you tell me I don't have to move my hands and I can now move out the chain of my thumb, my own thought speed, as long as I don't run into a mental issue, or I'm not one of those people who, what is it called? When the brain just works differently? Fuck. Autistic. If I'm not autistic, some form of autistic, by the way, just so we're clear, this is not meant as some type of insult. This is scientific description. If I am not someone who has a mental issue that is relative to autism, or I don't have a problem where I'm thinking of too many inputs at once based on the possible situations that can happen, I am fluent in my thought, we're going to see a different breed of player at that point. We're going to see people who don't so much elevate fighting game technique and skill, but we're going to see people who play in a different dimension than people who are using their hands. It's totally possible. It's totally possible. Look no further than the difference between playing a shooting game with a controller versus playing it with a mouse. You ever tried that, bro?
Man, that shit is hard as hell.
Because you didn't start that way. But the first thing people tell you on mouse and keyboard or motion control is that they hate using controller to play first-person shooters because they're less accurate by nature. Because instead of using their full hand and arm and wrist to move and motion, they're using an analog nub with their left hand, which is almost never anyone's dominant hand. I played Resident Evil 4, a game the whole world loves. That game has been ported more times than any other game Capcom has made. And let me tell you, I pretty much can only play the PC version and the Wii version. You know why? Because motion controls make the aiming so much better. I was sad and mad when they purposely didn't tell people that they didn't put motion controls back in the Switch version of Resident Evil 4. I know damn well they could patch it in too. But they're not. They're just not.
Resident Evil 4 is ass, by the way.
The internet and me disagree with you. But that's another story.
Don't care about that.
Well, then I don't know why you said it then.
You right.
I will say his hair looked like ass though. I don't know who determined the color palette, but every version of the game I play, Leon's hair looks like an uncooked bratwurst or something. It's like, I know they're trying to give him blonde highlights, which is fucking weird, but the shit looks gray with a little tinge of yellow in it. And the color palette for the whole game, with the exception of Ashley's outfit, is bland colors. So the shit just looked weird to me. Like every version of the game I've seen, Leon's hair just, I don't understand the coloring choices. But that's a story for another time. Go see Resident Evil Vendetta. It's very good and it's in 4K. And unlike the live action, it isn't filled with herpes and cooties.
I agree.
I think they should be segregated and separated. First and foremost, when this comes out, brand new, no one's gonna know unless they do scientific study and analytics which one has a true advantage. But based on the speed of thought versus the speed of a physical body part, we all know it's gonna lean in the brain's favor. Just to summarize. Okay, topic 3. I think it's time for me to put you over my knee and get my belt. First and foremost, Sega, let me just say this to you right now. Pretty much from the time I've hit 13, you've had this incredible ability to make some epic things and then shit on your epic things. Destroy them, warp them, almost molest their image to make you money or to make what you think will get you money. Because it's very clear that the quality control as well as the talent pool has either been shuffled off into the background, which can happen with old companies, or they just left and you don't want to admit they left. And it's sad because Sega, to me, is quickly turning into one of those companies that is a one-trick pony, which is generic cliche anime themed orientated subject matter. And that's terrible to think about. Were they always trying to reach for this conclusion? Probably not. But it goes without saying that the amount of effort and quality that they have put out is wildly inconsistent, and it has been for a long period of time. There are people who will make things for them that can do a better job, show they can do a better job, and they will outright refuse them. Don't get me started on how many times Streets of Rage 4 was canceled. Too bad, I'm going to do it anyway. Streets of Rage 4 got canceled or stopped before it started almost 7 fucking times with no reason given to Sega why they wouldn't let somebody make a title for them. Jet Set Radio got stopped 4 times. Even though they made absolutely no plans themselves to continue the franchise. But they'll go and take all these characters and put them in an all-star game where they're not even in their element and there's no canon to the shit. You know people love Shenmue. You know people love Jet Set Radio. You know people died for Skies of Arcadia. But for 20 years you stick them in a racing game after all this time? That's it? A fucking racing game? Sega, you were one of the earliest pioneers of the 3D All-Star fighting game. Sega, what was it? All-Star or Sega Fighting Viper, some shit like that. Sega made a fighting game where it was 3D and they were making almost anyone you could think of or every franchise get represented. There was even cars that you could fight against and as in that game. And it was for the Sega Saturn. You know how insane that is? And this is before we got to Marvel vs. Capcom 1. This is like, I think, this is back when X-Men vs. Street Fighter was like, what the fuck? And then here you are doing so many disturbing things. Just in the past 10 years, this is what Sega's done. They screwed up Sonic Mania, which they didn't even make themselves by trying to put in DRM and then blamed the people who made it for the issues with it. But they didn't cause those issues and they didn't have access to Denuvo or whichever DRM they use. They just made the game and handed it off to Sega. Shenmue 3, as much as people wanted it, is a genuine fucking disaster as far as how it's put together. But that's primarily because they wanted nothing to do with it. Virtua Fighter has the most inconsistent release schedule of every fighting game that has ever existed that is a franchise. Soul Calibur made sense. 5 was ass. They were scared to make a new one. And no one understands why the audio in Virtua Fighter 5 still sounds like it came out of 1997. Have you heard the audio in Virtua Fighter games, by the way?
Yes. The last Virtua Fighter was Cheekwater. I don't ever want to put my fucking hands on that game ever fucking again. The last game that I actually enjoyed from Virtua Fighter was Virtua Fighter.
You cut off too early. Virtua Fighter what?
Virtua Fighter 4 was the last great Virtua Fighter 4 game. The vanilla Virtua Fighter 4.
Yeah, I heard that 4 is seen as like one of the best in the franchise. But to be fair, I only ever owned 5. And they've done a couple remakes of 5 or rebalances for 5, but shit, I had a lot of fun with 5. But to be fair, I'm one of those people who I like multiple characters, so I got a lot out of it. But the audio is recorded horrendously for some reason. It literally sounds like it was barely updated from 1997, even with new characters. In fact, if you go into Dead or Alive 5 Last Round, the last good Dead or Alive game, by the way, that franchise is dead to me at this point. Dead or Alive 5 Last Round, all of the Team Ninja, is that what they call it? Team Ninja or Ninja Studio? I think they're called Team Ninja.
Team Ninja.
Yeah, all the Team Ninja characters that are from Dead or Alive franchise proper sound like their audio is modernized. And when you see them fight against or with the Virtua Fighter characters, you can hear the audio quality is different. It's like the microphone they recorded them on is from 1995. The audio system they recorded them on is from 1997. And the game came out in 2013, if memory serves. Actually, not like 2014. Last Round came out in 2014. Ultimate, I think, is what came out in 13. But the fact that they even did that shit, you know Sega probably told them to willfully do that. That is so dumb. The few times they even had a Virtua Fighter character in an actual in-game cutscene or story mode, they don't speak. Because it would probably be more apparent, yo, what the fuck is wrong with this audio? And then there's Streets of Rage 4. They had 4 offers. And on top of that, they actually were making their own one in-house. But the American department back in, 1997 or 1999 was so stupid, they didn't know that Streets of Rage was one of their most profitable fucking IPs at the time. Because they were focusing on home console sales, even though Streets of Rage tears up arcades. So they said, nah, fuck it, we just won't do it. So then another team, they handed off to do it. They canceled them, and that's how we got Fighting Force. The entire cast of Fighting Force in the whole game is actually Streets of Rage, but they changed the names and design of all the Streets of Rage characters. That it's literally Streets of Rage.
Wait. Are you serious?
Yes, Fighting Force was Streets of Rage 4. Literally was.
Wow. I enjoyed the fuck out of Fighting Force, but I did not know that tidbit.
Yeah. Then 3 other companies, 2 of which even made CG trailers for the game because it was such a sure bet, showed off with their designs and what they want to do for the game. Shit got canceled. Then out of nowhere, because this one team in France ported or designed something for Sega asked could they do it, Sega just said yes. The fuck? And supposedly one of the primary reasons is because, oh, well, they want to make it 2D and not 3D. Sega, do you hear the stupid coming out of your fucking mouth right now? You could have had both. They could have made a 3D Streets of Rage that played like Devil May Cry, and they could have put in a 2D minigame or side story. Shut the fuck up. Did you not see Saints of Row 4? You literally can go into an arcade-style beat-em-up virtual world, and the characters' moves and clothing change based on what you had in the 3D game. It's not impossible.
Yeah, that shit hot.
They could have made 3D models but still moved them around like they were in a 2D plane. The current nickname for it being 2.5D. No, they fucked all that shit up. They fucked all that shit up. So I'm just sitting up here like, whoever's in charge of their game development department needs to be removed from that position. I literally think somebody different needs to run Sega when it comes to the game development department. Because right now, Sega's turning into a microtransaction and gambling machine that wants to sell people something you can't actually touch, which is slutty anime women pretending they're not dressed like strippers, and they want to be taken seriously or have the characters taken seriously in a story setting. I play Phantasy Star Online too. I'll admit it. If you just look at the story of the game, there are only really about 3 characters that look like they got dressed up at a stripper convention. Other ones look fancy, or they look sci-fi, or they look like some mix of some type of theme. And the story, although tried to be comical at times, goes from science fiction drama or science fiction action drama to anime stereotypes so boring and depressing, no one cares. They made an anime for Phantasy Star Online 2 back when it was really starting to get popular. And guess what it was about? High school kids being put into an MMO. That was actually a real place. They couldn't sell the fucking Blu-rays for that shit. And it had low viewership. And they came out and admitted, oh, it's not that popular. Gee, I wonder why. It's very simple. Look, Sega, you don't understand that your audience was never 100% or even thinking consciously about anime-orientated crap all the time. You do have a broad appeal, but you shrank it. Did you know in the 90s, Sonic the Hedgehog was more recognizable internationally than Mickey Mouse?
Agreed.
Oh, well, I mean, it was an actual fact, but yeah, fucking, and they've gone and squandered that. Sega is a company that doesn't understand its own market or their own customers. And no matter how many feedbacks they get, they're always going to go in a weird or odd direction, because you can tell 70 to 80% of that company thinks that the anime aesthetic is why they make money. And it's not. It was quality standards, but now they're all over the place. You don't know what you're getting anymore. Sega's like a box of chocolates, so to speak. So when it comes to me seeing them doing this DLC shit, I don't care if corporate management made them do it, or I don't care if it's because the person who designs the game gets a bigger share of profit when they make DLC. It's wrong. And the fact that no one stopped it just goes to show me how far Sega can still fall after rising so high with Streets of Rage and Sonic Mania being things that are happening. I want to love you, Sega. I really do. But we're in an abusive relationship. You're smacking me around because I took too long to get the groceries, but you never tell me you love me anymore. All right, topic 4. I'm gonna just come out and say it. It's a terrible idea. It is terrible for virtual anything to become more consistent with socializing aspects of humanity. And I'm not saying that because, oh, well, we'll have more fucked up people. First off, people were fucked up before the internet. Why are we acting like the internet fucked people up? No, people were fucked up before the internet. They'll be fucked up after the internet. And if the internet died right now and no one could access the internet for a week or a month, people will still be fucked up. Virtual chat rooms have literally almost no regulation. It relies on people to self-police and report. That's your first mistake. Look no further than Twitter. Or rather, I call it the Jake Paul apocalypse, or the Jake apocalypse, or Jake apocalypse, if you can say that, tongue twister. Listen, when that idiot decided to show a dead body instead of reporting it and then do nothing about it, we all know what happened. It was the wake-up call. Google got scared. And everyone around them looked and got scared of the same shit. So now, every website that should have been policing themselves for murder, criminal activity, and pedophilia started doing it. But look what also happened. How many fucked up people started defending them or saying that the shit's okay? It's not bad because I like it. Get the fuck out of here. A lot of people still ask me why I don't like Digibro, or I tell them, look, not liking is completely different. No, I don't respect him as an adult because first and foremost, he's too conceited at this point. But when he wants to take shots at other YouTubers, he'll only show a small flash of their videos and talk about them, and then not link to them or even give them a chance to defend themselves like they need to defend themselves from Digibro, or to even have a proper rebuttal because he knows he's wrong. He's come at Caleb City about 2 or 3 times. Also, when Patreon started kicking people off who were selling bestiality shit, artistic incest and pedo-looking orientated crap, he said he lost respect for the company. I'm like, are you fucking stupid? And then that's when, well, I can't say which YouTubers. That's when some YouTubers started telling me about his personality because, well, don't get me wrong. Obviously, you can tell by the subscriber count. I'm not really in that upper echelon YouTube ether. But here's the thing about that upper echelon YouTube ether. It pretty much doesn't exist until they're all congregating at a convention. But the rare cases where some of them do interact offline or because they're in the same state, one of the first things they tell me is, you will not believe which ones are so completely different once the camera gets shut off. Or the ones who don't think that they're doing some fucked up shit or that they're not doing something terrible. And Digibro was one of the first ones. And I didn't care at first, don't get me wrong. I was just listening to a funny story. It's like, hey, if you got a funny story, no matter how weird someone is, I'll listen to it. It's funny. I think we're all like that as humans. But this story got triggered by me watching his video in a room with them and being like, what the fuck? Why is he coming at Caleb City like that? Why is he talking about his content shouldn't get as many views as it does and shit like that, even though I put in so much effort into my stuff? Like, and then you don't want to tag him, and I'm like, nah. That's fuck you, bro. You're mad at him for being what you perceive as more successful than you. But here you are, still making videos on YouTube. No one told you had to do that. You don't have to. Here you are still using Patreon, even though you shitted on them for doing what a responsible website should. But here you are using this shit. No one told you had to shit talk them. You could have just kept it offline, but you didn't. So that's my whole issue with him. But here's the thing. If I isolate someone and they like something and they're not told how dangerous, fucked up, messed up, or they can't see the dark side of it, if I pull them out of that VR space, you really think they're going to listen to me, or they're going to try to run back into it and be surrounded by an echo chamber that tells them that they're right and nothing's wrong? If they were doing it offline, if they were doing it on the internet, they will do it in a virtual space on the internet. SJWs are somehow a thing, but not a thing at the same time. It was an insulting term made for people who had genuine issues with fucked up shit, usually done by people in right-wing media. But they found a way to manipulate it And since they only want to show off or spotlight delusional people or genuinely messed up in the head people and present them as if this stereotype is their entire chain of thought, look what happened. Now, the minute anybody hears the word SJW, they associate it with what? Snowflakes, hypersensitive people, people who are delusional, or little kids who shouldn't have got the internet without their parents around. But none of these people actually listen to what the fuck they have to say. Talking to somebody online is no different from talking to them in person. They might have a wrong belief. Why don't you help correct them? Or if you try to correct them, see if they'll listen or if they're just delusional jackasses. But they don't want to do that. They want to stereotype and put a blanket term over them. Just like a certain other group of people I know. And then people just regurgitate this shit like it's not offensive. Virtual online has literally no regulation other than if someone reports you for doing something 18 plus, that's it. So that means that a pedophile right now can go and log on to virtual space. He could set his age to whatever, and even though people hear his voice is deep and grisly and shit, he could be put in the same room as a child-orientated VR space. That fucking scares me. So, as it stands right now in 2020 at the time of this podcast, there are more cons to virtual reality spaces than there are more cons than pros. Because remember, this is not talking about virtual reality gaming. This is talking about virtual reality socializing. There are more cons. But don't get me wrong, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Can you imagine that kid who's born with a disease where he literally can't move anything below the neck or something like that? Imagine him having a life or being able to socialize and not be fucked up or thinking about killing himself every day because he can go and log into VR. Or that grown adult too. Fuck. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. But right now, because enough adults and enough politicians and enough scientists aren't in a room together regulating shit. So yeah, with that being said, that's my answer to topic 4. Too much evil to do too much good.
Man, it sounded like you dropped a whole rap album and had my face had the stank face going like, ooh, he dropping gems. I feel like I was listening to a rap album, boy. Ooh, that's Kendrick Lamar-esque shit right there.
You're not the first person to say that, although it wasn't Kendrick Lamar they compared me to, but you're not the first person to say something like that. But see, you got to remember, well, one, you and me can talk about anything in the world, but we've never actually had conversations that were longer than 5 minutes because you and I were always doing something at a convention or it was the middle of the night and we just trying to fucking party. But yes, I'm complex, for lack of a better term. However, I don't always just stay complex. I can go through all the levels. Life is no fun if you're only complex. Life is no fun if you're a brain dead retard who only wants to have fun and feel good too.
Right.
So this is actually pretty common shit. Now that being said, it looks like we got a part 3er coming in hot. Later on today. I don't know if you're going to be around for that or not, but yeah, it looks like Holland got in from the hospital, so he's fine and he's going to come and do his part. But with that being said, is there any special topic you want to talk about or anything in media around the world you want to bring up? Because this is when you can do it.
If I want to talk about something, want to chime in on the severity of said climate of today as far as this coronavirus. I really feel like right now, of course, everybody took it lightly and didn't give a fuck about it. But now that we're at the mercy of Mother Earth, now that if it kind of gave us some room to kind of sit down and realize what the fuck we doing in this world. And if we're not doing anything to benefit others or benefit the world itself, then why the fuck are we doing this shit? So that's why I just wanted to chime in and just be like, I just hope we all start to continue to take care of ourselves and actually care for those that are around us and keep being as a supportive factor because a lot of people don't have this shit at the end of the day. And don't and stop looking at the news. Be aware of the situation, but don't consume too much of it and just keep I beg you, just keep taking care of yourself. Keep making sure that your family is good. Please don't eat all this bullshit. You can indulge in some of the bullshit, but remember, too much of it is a bad thing, and it's wrong to think it's it really taking its toll on everybody, especially me, since I'm more of a labor worker and I haven't been doing it in a couple weeks now, and then it starts to get scary. So just want to make sure that we all do our part in making sure that we continue to take care of ourselves, so that way we all can continue the best part of our life. Because some of us do go out and we interact with people, and now we can't do that because some people don't give a fuck about others. So that's it.
Real talk. I got a automated call this morning from my regional supervisor over at Amazon. Okay, so the DCH1 warehouse I work out of, somebody decided they wanted to come to work with that Rona. So they're now instituting a please call us if you think you came anywhere near him situation, and telling them if you came near him, stay on for 14 days. We'll give you pay, but stay on for 14 days. So I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like this shit is not a threat to me imminently. In fact, dude, it's been threatening / holding up pretty much every job I have. See, I do stand up part time, not because I suck, but because if I want to go full time, I'm probably going to need to heavily invest more in my agent, and I might have to spend the whole year probably never being home. And that's not something I can do at this point in time, given certain medical conditions my mother's currently going through. I'm also at Amazon's warehouse, like I said, one of their warehouses, DCH1. And when I'm not doing that, I got hooked up with the census, because it's a census year. Dude, they give you damn near 30 an hour. Every time I'm supposed to get my federal scan and my fingerprint shit done and do drug tests, got pushed back 3 times now. I was ready to go early March, like first week of March, before my birthday March. And my shit got canceled and pushed back all the way into April. So pretty much all this month, ain't been able to work. But a nigga's tax refund came in and he got a little bit of outside support, so it ain't as bad as it could be. But if this shit don't clear up, let's just say it's not gonna be too fun.
Of course
It also
not.
doesn't help that Trump is the president. But Zex, he said everyone can have that stimulus package stuff that gets you like 1,200, and the earliest they think it can come if they don't have your information on file and they don't tell you who they do and do not have on file is literally almost a month and a half away.
And let's not put everything on Donald Trump, because Donald Trump do some real stupid shit, and I don't lean on every word he says, but we can only be mad at ourselves in this situation.
Yeah, we voted for him.
Shit, I didn't.
Yeah, well, few self-respecting minorities did.
Yeah, because some of those minorities only voted for him because it'll help the rich, or he sold them a dream, and they got fucked for it.
Dream the swamp. Dream the swamp. When motherfucker, you are the swamp.
When the rest of us already told him, was like, yo, this is not a good idea to vote for him. But even then, voting for Hillary was kind of problematic too, because of her
because she kept ducking and
things.
dodging. It was that simple. She kept ducking and dodging the email shit. Everyone knew about the email shit. Trump brings it up anytime they're in a debate. It's the only thing he brings up when they're in a debate. And she never answered shit. She didn't help her situation. It was a case of which one is less shady. And the stupid part is that the more shady person was actually the better choice. You know how sad that is? The more shady person was the better choice.
That was sad as fuck, man. And I agree. And I guess what? We can only be upset that we're in this situation where we all could have took this shit seriously. I
Or
mean,
saved
I'm
up
not
money to
saying,
move to Canada. Just
man,
saying.
I ain't moving to fucking Canada. They don't like black folks out.
Fuck you talking about? When the last time you heard of a Canadian police officer shooting us?
Where can we go besides Toronto and Ontario?
Why does everyone say that word differently? You can go to Timmins, ain't shit over there. You can go to Nova Scotia, they've never even heard of black people in Nova Scotia. The list goes
They
on.
probably won't like that. They probably don't want nobody fucking darker than them. They think we gonna dirty the place.
Why do you assume that every white person? Oh wait, you're from North America, so it's not your fault. All right, so look,
Fuck, man. God
brief
damn
reminder.
it.
Brief reminder. Sometimes when you leave the country, we're the cool kids. Canada, 50.
You're right. You're right.
Also, did you forget you light skin?
I mean, we do get passes, but I do pass for like Hispanic too. So it's like I got like the three of best worlds and some shit like.
Nah, you got the three things cops lock up. But that aside, it's easier for people like
Fuck
you to
you.
transition. Hey, bitch, you still get to get everybody's girls with putting in no effort. You fuck you.
Damn, you kind of right though.
Yeah, and apparently it's a scientific thing now, or rather, they actually committed scientific effort into studying it. I ain't checked up with it in a while because I felt it was dumb to watch because this is shit I've known since I was 2. Light-skinned people don't have to put a lot of effort into getting any kind of woman. Well, basically, their chemical attractive whatever, pheromone, hormone, whatever, is actually more potent or effective on every kind of person versus a set of people.
We gotta get y'all dark skinned motherfuckers up there too.
Nah. Look, I'm happy with the women I get. I don't need to be, well, for lack of any term, any more sought after than what I am right now. Plus, I also like being a 5, and I'm gonna tell you why. 5 is the best number because your friends are your friends because they like you as a person, not because they just want to fuck around until they think they can fuck you.
Real, that's some real shit, bro. I literally be trying to like be on the 5 tip, man. But yeah, you right, man. I tell people all the time, I'm a 5, bro, because I want motherfuckers to love me for who I am and not for what I look like.
See, they're thinking about you without the beard and with a low cut hairstyle. They're thinking about pretty angry boy. See, pretty angry boy, probably the world is his oyster, sexually speaking. But at the same time, if you got a higher number, you should still value that. Don't just throw it in the mud. You know, if you a 6, you be a 6, God damn it. Because guess what? A 6 can still go and pull a 7 or a 5.
Hey, I'm a 10 because I hold myself to a higher standard. I am the prize. Fuck what they talking about.
Look, you can't just go by penis length. You have to go by personality as well.
All that shit. What you talking about? Everything.
Just checking. All right. Well, hey, you know, if you don't want to talk about anything in the world, hey, just let me know. I'm gonna get started on this Fantasy Star video. I got a new class review coming out because that's what most people subscribe for. And I also, well, I'm probably gonna get some hate because I'm gonna do a Fire Emblem 3 Houses video, and then I'm probably never gonna care about the comment section. Not that I don't read the comment section sometimes, but you know how it is with Fire Emblem fans. If you don't agree with or think exactly like them, the first thought is burn the witch.
Man, fuck Fire Emblem. How about that?
Well, I fuck with Fire Emblem, so yeah.
That game is so fucking convoluted, and I'm not saying I don't like the game because I dabbled in. I played enough
Oh
Fire
yeah, I
Emblem.
don't know why they feel this need to have 3 different stories, but the same outcome kind of sort of happens. My whole thing is very, very simple. See, I think they just should have made one story and give it 3 parts, and characters can carry over if you bump into them again. That's all they had to do. They didn't need 3 stories. Same with
They
the
did.
3DS
They
games.
fucked up. They fucked it.
And here's one that annoys me. Why do they keep calling them the Black Eagles? The motherfuckers will keep wearing red. Their sigil is red. Their crest is red. Their leader is in 99% red, 1% yellow or gold. But they're called the Black Eagles. What the
Ain't
fuck?
shit
There's
black
not even a
about
black
it.
eagle on your fucking logo.
That's an angry bird, my friend.
Hell nah. All right, let me get out
Say
of
I'm
here.
lying. Say I'm
I
lying.
can't. Let me
No,
get
you
out of here and
can't.
get ready for the next guy. I'll catch you later.
All right, man.
Hey,
Take it
we
easy.
definitely need to play Streets of Rage 4 together. By the way, it's also 4 players.
Oh, please. Why you want to put me through this?
Hello, it's Xeno120 here. Henshin and go, baby. It's been a while, but I'm back for who know how long because 2 jobs got me working like a slave. So I'm getting right into it. Topic 1: is GameStop going to die because of forced government shutdown? Personally, I believe that they're going to shut down anyway. And if anything, they could just start shipping stuff out. Even though I know a lot of the articles I read, they were saying that they were having people come in, but they barely shut down. I mean, like I don't think it's gonna make a difference. But I don't know. I feel like they want to shut down anyway, or die anyway. So I feel like this is just stepping stone. So topic 2, mind control gaming. All right. So as far as gaming that deals with you being able to control with just your mind, I think it's gonna take a long time, but I feel like we get there because I mean, if you've seen some of the most recent VR games like Half-Life Alyx, they've come pretty far as VR, so I feel like that's just the next step. So I think it could be utilized well if done well, but I mean I don't think I think it's gonna be sometime way in the future for that to happen. And then as far as multiplayer games, if you were to decide you want to do that, I believe that I mean they have like crossplay, right? Or just different tournaments you go to. They everybody has their own controller anyway, so I feel like if anything, they would just have to optimize the controls more for those playing with it, as opposed to playing to the traditional fight stick or gamepad. I mean, they can optimize Call of Duty or something with the game, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. This could just be, while they're working on it, just another step toward pretty much revolutionizing how you play the game, which that's cool. I'll rock with that. All right, topic 3, DLC scaling. So, I personally haven't heard of this before, in any other game. So, but Sega's trying to scale up the price for Yakuza games, or like a Dragon in Japan. Yeah, I don't think. If anything, if we don't, I feel like if we just don't buy the DLC, then they're gonna have to lower it anyway. Or if we just all. So okay, for example, if you write 1 letter, they easily throw it under the rug. But if you like a million letters, that's something that can't easily be swept away. So I feel like if we either just don't buy the DLC, complain vocally, not complain, but well, I guess complain vocally, then they would have no choice because they realize that if the people aren't buying it, then there's no use in scaling the actual DLC and stuff up. So yeah, I think it's just if we don't want to pay taxes, we don't pay taxes. If we don't want to pay for scaled up DLC, then we shouldn't have to pay for it. That's just my opinion, but it is what it is, right? All right, topic 4, virtual chat rooms. I've only ever seen like parody videos and stuff of them in the chat with it'd be like Sale and Kermit or something, and then it'd be like messing with kids, and obviously it's a child because it's a child's voice, but they'll be messing with them and stuff like that. It's kind of weird, but I mean obviously it's a joke, so there's no reason to take that as serious. But there are people, pedos especially, that's out to get kids. No, but seriously though, I just think there are, as far as chat rooms go, I don't see much to like many pros to it. It's like, oh hey, we can socialize, but there's so many platforms to do that on. I feel like that's not really too much of a big deal. But hey, I don't know. I don't do that anyway. I mean, you just go online if you want to make some friends, or join what do you call it, like a group on like Facebook or something, or Twitter. Use a couple hashtags, and then you find people to play with. That way you don't gotta worry about pedophiles, because then you know what their picture looks like. Well, for the most part, right? That's not always way accurate, but it works. But yeah. Oh, I forgot to say. So, as far as gaming with the control, with your brain goes, if they were to implement it, as far as like, cause the way I understand it is, they're going to have like this is how I envision it, like a helmet, right? Like some Sword Art Online type stuff, where you got a helmet and then they put you into virtual reality. And I can see that happening. It's just gonna be weird because of how you're playing. So, like I said, you're just gonna have to optimize it. But as far as they're actually doing it, they're trying to actually implant chips into your brain. Even though they planned on doing that with more than just gaming, it's a lot of stuff they plan on trying to get done with as far as implementing computer chips in people's brains. If they were to do it with video games, I watch a lot of movies, and I don't just see them as entertainment. I see them as informative as far as I'm concerned, because a lot of stuff they put in movies they could actually do in real life. They just either don't, or they haven't found a way to implement it so that the public would be able to accept it. So I feel like if you got an AI in your brain, like an AI chip and stuff like that, then it's a lot of drawbacks. I don't see it working. Personally, I'm not trying to do it, but if that's on you. I just personally think that's too much, and y'all disallowing technology to get too much control. But that's just me. But video gaming, I don't know about an AI, but if it was just like being able to control with your mind, it might be a lot. Without the AI, then I think it'd be good. But with the AI, I don't know about all that. Just my opinion. But yeah, that's all I got. Yeah.